with his speech, Many Hats Makes Life Work. Please welcome George Randall.
Timing, George, sorry.
Yeah.
Timing's not right.
5 to 7, and then there'll be a few minutes for questions at the end. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we tonight? More importantly, how are you, Toastmasters and guests? I'd like to tell you a story, first of all, about a Toastmaster club. About 8 years ago, this Toastmaster club I'm talking about, was really in difficulty. They were down to just 12 members, and they were asking the area governor if they could please amalgamate with another club. Now, for those of you that don't know, it's quite difficult to set up a Toastmaster club. You need 20 willing participants, and you need to register a new charter. And it's quite complicated. So for them to do that would have been a real shame. So what happens is a couple of other Toastmasters who are working towards their Distinguished Toastmaster Award coached the club. And what they realised was that they were able to persuade that club that in fact many hats make life work. Now what am I talking about? Well, they first of all started and they spoke to the club and encouraged the club to really get on and do something well. And just then a strange thing happened. 2 more members left. They were down to 9 members. The reason both those members had left or decided to leave was because they were worn out. They were experienced members that had done a lot to help the club over the years, but their time had run out. Their patience had run out. So it was even more difficult. So what those 2 coaching members, Toastmasters, encouraged the members to do was something like this. There are 7 executive members of every club can be voted in. Not all clubs have 7, but the best clubs do. In opposite order of ranking, I'm going to start and explain to you each of the executive members of a good Toastmaster club. Number 1. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am your Sergeant at Arms this evening. Now, the first thing I must say to you that there are some people who say Sergeant of Arms, but this is totally wrong. Because, as we all know, one cannot be Sergeant to what is in fact an inanimate object. Because the Sergeant at Arms looks after the equipment you see before you today. The lectern, the banners, the various name tags, all of the equipment that you see before you is organised and the responsibility of the Sergeant at Arms. So the Sergeant at Arms has to get here a good 20 or 30 minutes before everyone else. Now, they're also responsible for setting up the room. And that doesn't mean that the Sergeant at Arms has to be at every table. No, they are responsible for organising that to progress to the time when it is time for the meeting to start. And then as the meeting goes on, at the end of the evening, they are responsible for ensuring that everything is put away tidy and that the room is locked up. Sergeant at Arms, any questions? No? Good, that's fine. The next role is the one we all love. I'm looking for donations, please. Actually, I might have 50, but I'm a bit cheapskate. The next role is, I hope, treasurer. Is it? Good. Well, you probably all know what the treasurer does, yes?
No.
Carol has got him, which I'm very pleased about because she's our present treasurer. What our treasurer does is gathers in all the money, makes sure that the club funds balance, and also gives us reports, financial reports, as frequently as possible. That's that role. The next role is one of secretary. Now the secretary, of course, is responsible for writing and noting down the minutes of the meeting and ensuring that they're correctly distributed so we all know who's been elected, etc., etc. So that's a very important role of the secretary. But wait some more. Now, Vice President Public Relations, VPPR. I think, is it not?
No, mention.
You got M there.
VPPR is, of course, a man of the world, or a woman of the world. Now, by the way, these hats are not sexist. A man or a woman can use them. VPPR is responsible for bringing the outside into the club and the club to the outside. We should not be simply working within ourselves. You all know what the next one is, don't you? BPM, Vice President Membership, is the recruiter. So, that's coming down. And that recruiter is also responsible for turning visitors into members. But bear this in mind, it is not their sole responsibility. It is the responsibility of every one of us to help encourage people who don't know about this secret called Toastmasters and make them aware. Next we have VP Education, I hope.
For all those hats yours.
Now, VP Education is the organiser, sets the agenda, and makes sure each one of you's desires and requirements within Toastmasters, that is, are fully met. And that is, although the hat may appear small, I couldn't get a flat thing on top of it. Although the hat appears small, it is a very responsible role. Last but not least, El Presidente. Now, in fact, the President is the presiding officer. The President is responsible for ensuring that they cheerlead the club. And indeed, may well have to. In any one of these roles, because fellow Toastmasters and guests, many hats make light work.